What's going on, everybody? It's your man Cleveland Terry, and today, well, today's a special day because in my hands I got the Phase wireless system. It was delivered to my house. Well, actually, it wasn't delivered to my house. A friend of mine graciously lent me, or ungraciously, depending on how you look at it, lent me his new Phase that were delivered to him. And he didn't even actually use them. He just basically just gave me the box. So shout out to DJ Paris Paul, my partner of Check 1 2 Entertainment. I appreciate it. Now, to be fair, he did order his Phases about 2 months after I ordered mine. And I'm still waiting on mine. Mine are scheduled to be delivered on Monday. So I'm dealing with, I guess, gear envy. But yesterday I spent a lot of time watching all of the great videos out there, one from Serato, a couple of other DJ pages, and I noticed in the comments there was a lot of questions that were continuously being asked. So I figured I would just pull all those questions into one video so you can kind of use this as a resource. I'm also going to do a little bit of a stress test on the Phases to see just how good the claims are as far as vibration, as far as wireless transmission, a little bit of everything. So we're going to take a look at that right now. The first question that I saw that was asked was, does it need to be plugged into the computer? Some people that have MacBook Pro 13 inches only have the 2 USB-C ports, not the 4 like the MacBook Pro 15, and they're already using one for their mixer / audio card and one for power. So the question would be, well, where am I supposed to plug in this new Phase module? Well, the reality is you don't actually need to plug Phase in at all. As a matter of fact, even the instructions in the box that tell you to plug it in to register is really just to register the product. After you register it, you don't have to worry. You can plug that in anywhere. I actually have a USB plug that I used for like my iPad Pro or my iPhone or Samsung, whatever, that has a USB input, and I just plug that into the surge protector on my mixer box, and power runs just fine. So the box itself does require power. Okay, there's a little USB power here, right here. This box is what's receiving the signal from these guys right here. So this box always requires some form of power, but it doesn't need to be plugged into the computer. Maybe on the next update, Phase will look into having this be battery powered also, and you get the best of all worlds. But in a perfect world, somebody's going to come around, whether it be Serato or Pioneer or Rain, Reloop, and they're going to go ahead and try to put this box into the mixer, and all you have to worry about are these guys. That's in a perfect world. I can see that happening. It's probably going to happen sooner than later because this technology is fantastic. Although, knowing Pioneer, they'll probably just make one of their own. That's just how they work. One thing that I did realize is that he bought the Ultimate Edition that has 4 of these put in the box. Out of the first 2 that came, when he plugged them in, one was at 100% and the other one was dead. And he tried to charge them for a little while, didn't work. We then plugged them in, and it did take a rather long time for one of them. And I know I saw that online where some people were having issues where they had to plug them into a power source and it took 4 to 5 hours to get to a full charge. I don't know what the reasoning behind that is, or maybe there's a power issue within one of the devices. Who knows? That'll come with further testing. This isn't going to be a review of everything that it does. It's really just to kind of answer some of the main questions and knock out some of the concerns. Another question was, how do you switch over with another DJ? Well, you switch over just like you would with turntables and records and needles. The receiver box is plugged right into the mixer inputs, the channel inputs, and the transmitters are on the records, and they're on the records at all time. So no matter who plugs in using the standard USB from the mixer, the moment you change to that next channel, well, they're receiving the same signal as you were. Just like records, if the needle's sending out a control tone, well, you're gonna see that control tone as long as the needle is on the record. No matter which channel you use, A or B, you're gonna see it. Nobody needs to install any software in order to get the system to work. It's gonna work just like needles did. So anybody that walks in, they're just gonna plug the computer in, turn it on, switch over, and done. So once you put them in, there is a red line, which is the same red line that you see when you are using a needle that's having trouble getting the signal to the computer. That's typically when you have either dirty needles or there's some sort of transmission in the RCAs that are causing problems, and then you can see that circle mess up, and then the red line is just kind of doing this the whole time. That usually means bad, but in this case, it means good for the time being until they can fix that. This is a Serato issue specifically. It doesn't happen to any of the other software apps out there. It's just a Serato bug that they will, I'm sure, find out how to fix at some point. Speaking of other software, does it work with Serato? Yes. Does it work with Recordbox? Yes. Does it work with Virtual DJ? Yes. Does it work with Tractor? Yes. So you just knocked out the top 4 DJ apps out there. I'm gonna assume that pretty much if it can receive a tone signal from any of these software companies, that even if it's kind of a third-party system, it should still be able to read that tone and perform just like it would if it were any other thing. The next 3 questions are questions that I think can only be answered if we show you what it looks like on the system. So let's test this out. Let's run this thing through its paces. Let's head into the warehouse. Okay, so basically speaking, this system is treated just like a Serato SL box. You're gonna put in your normal RCAs into the inputs, just like you would put your record RCA inputs in, but now you're just replacing them with the phase RCAs. And in this case, just like has been said across the internet, you have to make sure that they are plugged in and using the CD line, because they're reading a line level as opposed to phono, which needs to be boosted. Now, if you had your turntables, you could still take your turntables and run these into your phono line depending on the mixer you have. In the Rain 72's case, they only have the 2 channels, which are say 1 and 3, which are switchable to CD or phono. There is no secondary dedicated channel. They're just switchable. For some people, the first question was, well, can these things run in Knox mode, or am I stuck having to just use the phases or the control vinyl? And that's kind of an issue for people that want to play their normal regular vinyl and the phase controllers. Well, with this, you can't do that. You're gonna have to be switching back and forth, which is a little bit of a convenience. Say for instance, you have something like this and your computer's on top and you have no access to the switches without having to pull up the stand and then hit the switches, which are kind of unnecessary. Probably because they have the Rain 12s anyway. So why would you need a control record when you have the Rain 12s, which is basically simulating or emulating this box right here. So in theory, I guess that's why. How does phase handle interference? So I got Wi-Fi running. I got my Bluetooth on. I'm gonna turn on my headphones so they are Bluetooth. I'm gonna play some music on here. While it's streaming, I'm gonna turn off my Wi-Fi so it's pulling from LTE. Playing through here. I'm gonna take my phone. I'm gonna put this right on top of the phase. I'm gonna take my iPad. I'm gonna airdrop that and I'm gonna play Netflix. And I'm gonna put this right in between. Okay, let's see if the signal's being affected anyway. Okay, I'm receiving. You can see a little bit of distortion happening on calibration deck 2. It's not affecting the sound, but I am seeing distortion. Wi-Fi does cause a little bit of distortion. Is it enough to be concerned about? Not that I can see. I mean, I was running everything else on here. The Wi-Fi only had a problem on internal. I was doing my video at the warehouse. I got notice that my phases came, and I have my S9 at the house. So when I came in, I immediately loaded on my S9. A couple of things that I need to add to my previous things. First things first, make sure you go into your audio settings and you change turntables to CDs. Now, turntables to CDs, what it's gonna do is, it's gonna get rid of all of that possible phono noise, and it's just gonna be a pure signal. When I did that, my Wi-Fi troubles completely went away. I'm not seeing anything anymore. I'm doing the same thing here, still doing the same downloads, not getting anything, and it's still rock steady. In fact, it's probably better now than it was before. As far as using your aux or being able to play just through your phase controllers or your turntables. So let's say you want to move over from your Serato vinyl to your phase or vice versa. There's only really one way to do that because Serato on here only sees one channel. It doesn't see anything different. There's an easy way to do it if you are using the S9 anyway. Can't talk about all the other ones. But on the S9, as it's playing, you go into your settings and you can change this right over to turntables, but you might have some dead air. See right there, that was some dead air. So instead of doing that, what you should do is go into internal mode first. So now your switchover doesn't matter. And you go right back into settings, change it to turntables, no gap. And you still have access now to your record. Now, again, because the S9 has its own dedicated phono and CD line options, I can do that. I don't know that you can do that with the aux because the aux isn't technically a part of the A and B channel. This is designed to be used with Serato. Either you're using CDs or you're using vinyl. But the aux is not a dedicated vinyl setup, so it's either the CD or it's tone, and that's the only way you can use it. But like I said, I don't have access to a Rain 72, so I can't really confirm nor deny that. But that's how you would do it on the S9. If something happens with your phases and they just start going crazy, well, you know, the battery dies, whatever, this is your option to get out of that. All right, and the last test is how this thing does with vibration. That's gonna take a minute. We're gonna see just how good these guys are with vibration. All right. See the difference? Now me hitting this one. But guys, that's just a first impression. As you can see by the bass cabinets, I mean, the thing can take a beating and the signal remains just tack sharp, which is one of my biggest concerns. So I'm really happy that that's not an issue. I just got word that my phases are at my house, so I'm gonna go pick those up, maybe do a little more testing. So you might see a little more of this video. If not, you'll definitely see videos later on. Guys, once again, always a pleasure. And if I don't talk to you later, we'll talk soon. If you found this useful, hit that like button. If you found it really useful, hit that subscribe button. I'm going to continue to do more work on the phase, so I hope that you can stick around.